Okay, so get this right. Imagine you're at a wedding, about to grab some cake, and someone starts, debating the word impact. Sounds crazy, but it happened to Curzan, the author we're looking at today.
Yeah, it's a funny example of how these grammar things pop up anywhere, like not just textbooks, but weddings too.
Exactly, and that's where her book, Says Who, comes in. It's like this guide for, not being a grammar stickler, but still getting things right.
Right, it helps you balance that, what's called inner grammando that freaks out over commas, with the wordy side that loves how language changes.
Speaking of freaking out,
Mhm.
people love saying some words aren't real, like irregardless. I've totally used it.
It's funny how words get labeled wrong. Irregardless goes back to the 1700s, actually.
No way.
Yeah.
And get this finalized. Some might think it's stuffy now, but experts hated it back in the day.
It shows how we judge language, right? Finalize was too American at first, like ain't gets a bad rap.
Ain't definitely has a reputation.
Totally, seen as uneducated, but it's more about dialect, not bad grammar, really.
Reminds me of literally, people lose it when it's exaggerated.
Literally is a hot topic.
Yeah.
But think of it like really or very. They were neutral once, then got stronger over time.
Huh. Never thought of it that way. But we want emphasis, so maybe really good isn't enough anymore. We need amazingly good.
Exactly. Language changes to add those shades of meaning,
Like could care less versus couldn't. Curzan mentions even Steve Bannon messed it up. Even bigwigs get tripped up.
Totally. Shows it's not always about strict rules, but what works in the moment, even if it's wrong. So, any of this hit home for you? What makes your inner grammando cringe?
That finalized thing blew my mind. I thought it was normal, but now I'm curious how it got so common after being, banned.
It's wild, right? Not always logic or rules. Sometimes words just become okay because we use them.
Makes you wonder what we say NW. That'll be shocking later on.
Definitely makes you think twice about words changing over time.
Okay, we talked about words people freak out about, but what about grammar that trips us up? Like pronouns, they're like a minefield.
You're telling me even pros struggle with those?
Singular they gets me. Can I use they for one person if I don't know their gender? Feels natural in he or she constantly, but then I'm like, is that allowed?
Lots of folks think that's new, breaking the rules. But Curzan says it's older than he or she, been around for ages.
Get out. Seriously. Why do we think it's wrong then?
Maybe how grammar was taught, right? Super strict matching. But English is flexible. We say, everyone grab their coat, not his or her coat.
True. Never thought about it like that, but yeah, that rule's kind of bent there already. So singular they is more accepted now then.
Oh yeah, way more. Not just talking, even formal writing, style guides use it. Plus, it's inclusive. If you don't know or they're non-binary, they works for everyone.
Right. Like that grammar girl line, she called it a gaping pronoun hole we needed to fill.
Nailed it. Singularly they solves a real problem.
Okay, so that's cool, but who versus whom still gets me. Curzan's email anxiety about it, I felt that in my soul.
Oh, it's a classic. And honestly, whom can sound stiff, even pretentious in a lot of cases.
So can we just ditch it then?
Depends. Formal stuff like academic, legal, gotta know it. But casual talk, most writing, who is fine, no one will care. Just be consistent in what you're writing, that's key.
Music to my ears. Like Curzan says, being right isn't the goal. It's communicating well that matters.
Exactly. And speaking of communicating well, punctuation, another one that gets people riled up. You ever in an Oxford comma debate?
Are you kidding? Team Oxford comma all the way. Though some people, I swear.
It's intense comma feelings. But funny thing is, punctuation is new W, relatively speaking. In language history, it's like a recent invention.
Curzan shows a 1600s text, commas everywhere, scary and comforting at the same time. If they survive that, maybe we're not so bad off now.
Right. What's right now was wild back then.
So how we get here, all these comma rules?
Well, as writing got common, standardized, people wanted it clear, readable, so conventions popped up. And yeah, we complain about commas now, but imagine no rules, how hard to read that would be.
Good point. So maybe commas are our friends. Any rules you do think are important?
Commas in lists, for sure, keeps things clear, especially long ones. And yeah, I like that Oxford comma avoids confusion a lot of the time.
For real. I've seen too many sentences where it's like, what are you even saying without it? So clarity over being technically perfect sometimes.
100%. And honestly, that's how I feel about language overall. Follow the rules, yeah, but use them to communicate best, that's the way.
It's funny, right? We get fired up about commas, but like language is about being understood. So a comma out of place, maybe not the biggest deal.
Totally. Easy to get lost in the weeds, but did you get the message? That's what I want to know.
Right. And sometimes bending the rules a bit, it makes your writing like more fun to read.
100%. Like Curzan says, embrace the quirks. English is messy. That's okay.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away?
For me, it's that language changes constantly. What's right today might be old news tomorrow, and that's cool. Don't get stuck. Just go with the flow. Enjoy it.
Go with the flow. Love that. It's alive, this language. We're all part of it changing.
Exactly. And hey, even the experts disagree sometimes. So trust your gut, be confident, bend those rules a little if it helps you say what you mean.
Well said. This was awesome. Thanks for geeking out about language with me.
Anytime, always a blast.
And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive makes you more confident, happier writers. It's not about all the rules. It's knowing why they exist. Then you choose what works best. Make that writing sing.
You got it. Happy writing, everyone.